every individual. Tue Leverage, the magical arts of positive motivation and manipulation. Hi, my name is Mark Boersma, President of Synergy Solutions, along with Peter Miles and Tom Kuntz. And wow, like it is so exciting. So much work has been put into this course, and you get started on it. And so if it seems like, just to give you a heads up, if it seems like we're going over a lot of information in a very short period of time, the reason it seems that way, well, is because we are. And so no worries. Absorb everything you can. Go through it, the lessons a couple times if you need to. Before we dive in, Tom, could you give us just a little bit of background about yourself if individuals didn't get a chance to go through the backstage or some of the other pieces? Give us a little background about yourself if you could, Tom.
Well, I've been in the real estate franchise or real estate business for a little over 50 years. Spent 30 years with Century 21. Thought I wanted to retire. Then got passionate about some things I wanted to accomplish. I was contacted by a real estate franchise out of Germany, and so went back to work, and I've been with them now 7 years. And and my two passions are non-producing agents and non-profitable real estate companies.
And you went ahead and, led the largest real estate franchise in the world, over 130,000, 140,000 agents in over 70 different countries. Why do you think leverage, the magical arts of positive motivation, manipulation, why do you think this is so critical not only to sales professionals, C-level executives, but every single person in a company?
Well, manipulations, I've always used that kind of word, and sometimes it gets me in trouble, sometimes it doesn't. I tried, I'd never used it in a bad way, but I once told the president of Easter Seals International that I was going to manipulate his brand and our brand together to raise him more money, which we did. We raised over $100 million for him. But I think positive attitudes are really what make the world go round. I mean, I've never talked to a successful anybody, real estate people or anybody else, that doesn't have some kind of positive motivation that keep them moving forward. And I think that the ones that don't produce are the ones that are still trying to find out what their motivation is or what their why is. Why do they get up in the morning? What drives them every morning? And so I think that's what leverage could do for these folks, is to help them understand where they're at and why they're where they're at and why they can move forward to get a better where they're at.
Nice. And Peter, tell us a little bit about yourself if you could.
58, been in business of one kind or another since for the last 35 years. Started off as an agricultural student. Started a trucking business in Botswana, Africa. Served on the board of Kima Commercial Services, which is in the UK. Retail John Deere franchises when I was 29. Been a commercial pilot. Joined actually 4.5 years as a forensic management accountant. Joined BMW Group in 1996. Served on the board of Land Rover North America as Chief Operations Officer. President of Rolls-Royce on part of BMW Group and Chief Operations Officer for BMW of North America. And then I retired momentarily and started a company called Visionary Automotive Group, and we have BMW franchise, Jaguar Land Rover, and we're expanding a footprint in future retail sales operations to meet the needs of the modern automotive consumer. So that's the cliff notes.
Nice.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
So, Peter, why is leverage so important, to not only the C-level executive of a worldwide company or organization, but, the entry level, the, part-time high school student, and everything in between. Why is this course so powerful and so important for everyone?
Well, to me, it's the how behind why. I mean, to me, you're always looking forward, no matter how old you are or what level you are. The key is to be able to look forward and then leverage, facilitate, create a path to your goals, the business's collective goals, and that all rolls into the formula of listen, see, think, do, act. And so, any time where if you're looking backwards, you're kind of managing. In my book, if you're looking forward, you're leading. So leading and leveraging, making things happen, bringing people together, motivating and focusing yourself on a growth path that will ultimately reward you personally, professionally, and financially, if that's what you're after.
Nice. So it's taken decades to go ahead and compile all of this. It's all underneath the engineered clarity, the process of thinking differently that brings satisfaction where you desire clarity. That's actually, when you look at that, it's pretty profound. And so where are you looking individually as you go through this course? I think the number one thing that we've seen in people going through the course is that they're often not clear on what they want. And if you're not clear on what you want, well, then you're probably not going to get everything you could or should out of the course. I think the key is don't worry about getting it right. Learn how to go ahead and apply leverage in a more effective way. For me, what I've learned the most from going through the course myself is that I have been leveraging things for decades. I mean, like, I've recognized that, like, Mark, you were a pretty good leverager for all these years, but it wasn't intentional as what it is now as a result of going through the course. So when you learn how to leverage something little, and so in lesson 1, we're going to teach you how to leverage 2 simple questions that you can ask anyone at any time in any situation, friend, stranger, family, peer, anybody you want. We're going to teach you how to do that. Then we're going to teach you how, by gathering information on those 2 simple questions, that you can leverage those for the mutual benefit of everyone. And I think that's the key. We often think of motivation as positive and manipulation as negative, but you can have, good manipulation and bad motivation. And so how do we look at leveraging, and always with the consideration, if I'm leveraging something with another person or an organization or a company or a group, I always want to bring a massive amount of value to them, so they have no problem with the leverage. I have no problem with them. I'm gaining benefit, they're gaining benefit, and together we truly can accomplish so much more than we ever could on our own. So let's dive into it. When you look at it, simplicity, this side of complexity is worth nothing, but simplicity, the other side of complexity, is worth everything. So when we look at leverage, it all comes back to 2 things. People, groups, organizations are looking at what is our intention and what is our capability. That's it. Like that's it. So what's our intention and what's our capability? Peter, why do you think these 2 are so simple but yet so complex as well?
Well, you don't know till you ask what somebody's intentions are, truly.
And do you know when you ask what their intentions are? Are they going to tell you the truth?
I think it depends on the circumstance. I think people are it's very difficult to know somebody's personal intentions. It's less difficult to know somebody's business intentions. But you're right. It's not a simple thing to get a truthful answer to, a vulnerable answer to, the simple truth. But, once you know that the intentions, especially if they're serving a common purpose, it's one thing if it's serving yourself, which is not necessarily bad, but if you're serving a common goal that other people are bought into, then I think it's easier to understand somebody's intentions. Capabilities, though, is equally as important. You can put the resource behind, connect the network in to a situation, but being capable of leveraging is something that often you can only really understand the capabilities based on past record.
So, Tom, Napoleon Hill and whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, do we really know, Tom, what our capabilities truly are?
No, I don't think so. I think that capabilities tend to show themselves once you initiate, as Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive, and you believe in it. Once those two steps are in place, then it's an interesting process to watch the capabilities start to come about. Doesn't mean that you have all the capabilities, but it leads you down the path to either show you the ones you have or somehow lead you down the path to get to the people who have the capabilities you need to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. And in my case, most of the capabilities come from people that I surround myself with because I don't have all of them.
Nice. So as we get deeper into this and you get deeper into the course, I think you're going to find, just like the three of us have found, that the more you know about leverage, the more you know you don't know. I think the key is to make sure don't make things complex that are simple, but don't make things simple that are complex. So we're going to keep it simple, but we're going to go deep, pretty quick in this. And so the first thing is asking questions. So questions reveal intentions and questions reveal capabilities, but often we can not ask the right question or we don't listen well. Tom, why is it so important to be just an amazing at asking questions, and why is the listening to the answers, why is that so important?
Well, that's the only way you gain knowledge, is asking questions and then shut up and listen. And I always look at everything from a sales perspective, as well as management, but probably more as a sales person. And a salesperson can't really get anything done unless they totally understand who they're talking to, and the only way you do that is ask questions. And by asking questions, you can lead them to the point of finding out, are they in need of your product or service or not? And if they're not, who do they know who may be in need of it?
Peter, most people, being on the board of BMW, being the past president of Rolls-Royce, you've traveled all around the world. You've connected with all these, really smart, important, powerful people. Peter, most people think, especially people at C-level, or people who are successful in sales, or people successful in leadership, even, most people would say they're good at asking questions. How do you help, Peter? How do you help people to recognize the concept of dimensional thinking, that yes, you're good, but you're not as good as what you think, or if you want to take a dimensional jump, you've got to go ahead and see that, there's so much more you can learn about asking questions. How do you help somebody go from a unconscious incompetence where they think they're good at asking questions, but they're really not? How do you do that, Peter?
As simple as it sounds, when I arrive at meetings, especially international meetings where there are people from all different departments or enterprises, is who are we, why are we here? very open question, because the reason for asking that is, if you weren't already familiar with those present, you want to know who they are, what they represent, what their intentions are, what resources they have, and why are they there? Do they see themselves as contributing to identifying problems, solving problems? What are their goals aligned with the goals of the meeting? And to me, that's a simple mental state to get in almost wherever you are. if you're not working alone in isolation, which virtually never happens, is establishing who the resources are, who controls them, why are they there, and building that bridge towards the why, to understand how they can help you, how you can help each other move along the path. So, I try to always think of every situation that I meet people in that context. Who are you? Why are you here? And at the same time sharing who I am, why am I there? What am I trying to learn? What am I trying to see? What am I trying to understand? And then what am I trying to apply? So I really think that circle that you use that simply says, and I know this is asking questions, but it's getting into that virtuous circle of asking those questions and looking for common ground.
Nice. So remember, Tom helped raise over $100 million for Easter seals. And so this course is not just for C-level, executives of worldwide companies. It is for the entry level. Shoot, everybody in high school should go through this course. Everyone in grade school should go through this course. Young kids that are under 5, they don't need to go through the course because they already know how to leverage. Like, they know how to leverage. We forget how they leverage. Like, they're, with 7 kids, 5 grandkids, I see how my 2-year-old granddaughter, she knows how to leverage and get what she wants in life. But when we look at this and being able to go through and understand this, it's important to be able to say, one of the things that when Tom and I co-authored our book, Community Business Partnerships, for the first 3-4 years, I found myself catching when Tom would say something, I'm like, oh, I understand what he's saying. And he was very gracious to me. I didn't understand what he was saying. I understood a surface, but he was talking, he was communicating at a far deeper level than my mind had ever gone. So he said, things like, Mark, the 530 grid, I don't think you understand what you have. I'm like, okay, I think I do, but what do I have? And I learned with Tom to listen at a much deeper level. And I've been blessed to be an international speaker and author, been in the White House. I've been around high-level people. I get that. But Tom took me to another whole dimension of understanding where he sees stuff that other, even very high-level, C-level people don't see. So if you catch yourself in this course saying, I get it, I understand what they're saying, you can go on. Trust me, you might not see what we're trying to communicate, Kate, so take just a little bit longer. Now, when we look at what is the one best question to gain positive leverage, in traveling all around the world, in trying all different questions, this is by far the easiest and the most powerful one that you can ever do. You just ask people, with all the things you've got going in all areas of your life, what would you say your biggest challenge, you may be facing? It's that simple. Now, in lacrosse, to become a good lacrosse player, they know it's what's called balls against the wall. So it's taking your stick and putting that ball against the wall because it builds your reflexes. The same thing is true here. So your first assignment in leverage is to ask one person, minimum of one person every single day, what their biggest challenge is. We honestly don't care what it is. It can be family, friend, spouse. It can be, significant others. It can be children. It can be peers. It can be total strangers. We don't care who it is. But ask, one person a day at a minimum. So with all the things you got going on in all areas of your life, what would you say the biggest challenge you may be facing in any area of your life? you ask that question day in and day out, day in and day out. Now, you're going to be assigned what's called an art mentor in being part of the leverage. It's not just the course that's the magical part. It's the art, the atomic ripple reaction tree. It's actually a model that was built to bring peace to the Middle East. So it's going to work here because that's what it was designed to do. So you're going to be assigned an art mentor, and that individual is going to help you. So they're responsible for helping you see success. Now you think, that you're going to gain and learn the most from your art mentor, but that's actually not what's going to happen. You're going to learn the most through your two art buddies. And so you're going to be responsible to be a great student, to be developed, to be open, not to be defensive, not to think you know everything, to say, okay, I'm going to be open-minded. I'm going to be a great student, like Tom and like Peter, are. And then you're going to teach, you're going to pass on this to two other people. You think you're going to learn the most from your art mentor, but that's not who you're going to learn the most from. You're going to learn the most from your two art buddies, like we think we learn the most from our parents. But for me, I've realized I've learned more from my children than I have from my parents, and I think you'll find the first, to be true. And I don't care what your position is. I don't care how high level you are. I don't care how experienced, how educated you are. Go through, do this assignment every single day, and you'll start to see the power on what it will do in bringing you leverage. And so, again, what we're looking for is asking that question with all the things you've got going in all areas of your life. What would you say the biggest challenge you may be facing? And you get that. Then the next question you ask is put your hand to your chin and go, that's interesting. Tell me more. So, Peter and Tom, do you think people going through the course, do you think they'll do that assignment?
Well, if you don't, you won't get anything. You won't learn anything.
Tom, go ahead.
I think a good 10% will. I think another probably 5 to 10% will try it once or twice. And, I figured 25% will at least ask it once.
Okay. So if you, Tom, here's a good, your golf pro principle, like it's not the clubs, like if you don't do this simple assignment, okay, don't blame the course. Tom, share that golf pro principle if you would.
Well, I'm one of those, weekend golfers that never get really any good. So I decided and I bought every piece of equipment that I've ever seen on TV, computer, or whatever. So finally I decided, why don't I go take a golf lesson? So I hired a pro to teach me. And so we get out to the teaching course, and he said, okay, before we start, he said, I want you to hand me the club and that in your bag that you never hit, because every time you hit it, it never goes where you want it to go. I said, hell, that's almost all of them, but I do have a favorite one. I handed him the club. And he dropped the ball, took the club, and swung it and sent this ball flying straight down the driving range. And he waited till the ball landed and rolled to a stop. Then he turned around and he handed me the club, and he goes, now we know it's not the clubs.
I just love that story. I just love that story. So if you go through this course and you don't go ahead and do this one simple assignment, if you're not doing it every day, don't say it's not the course. Like the course, I didn't get so much out of the course. The reason you didn't get the course is we've simplified it so easy for you. So don't blame the clubs. It's not the clubs that's the issue. It's you. Just being, honest with you. Now we start to go into, into the deeper end, and we're going to start to move faster. So in a way, it is that simple. It's that clear. It's ask a question and then leverage it for mutual benefit. So engineered clarity is all about how do you make things simple? How do you make it, really, really clear? So I mentioned Oliver Wendell Holmes. I would not give a fig for simplicity this side of complexity, but I would give my life for simplicity on the other side of complexity. And so when we look at engineered clarity, it's really breaking it down into people, business, and life. engineered clarity is really all about simplicity in what we're doing. Now we're going to drill down into additional complexity, but never forget the simplicity of leverage. So you can go to clarity.dna4success.com. Unbelievable. It's connected with Life Masteries and Legacy Partners, both nonprofit organizations, and they help you get clarity in every aspect of life. Let's go ahead and dive in here. Now is when we start getting into the deep end. So we've been going in like this is pretty simple. Don't forget the simplicity of it. But when we look at the people, business, and life, the DNA, it's the business part of the ingredients to a business operating system. It's the engine that runs our business. We earn the money, we earn, work the hours we work, have the stress we do or don't have because of the engine in our business. So it's important when we look at leverage, we're going to learn how to leverage people for mutual benefit. We're going to learn how to leverage business for mutual benefit. And we're going to learn how to leverage life, for mutual benefit. And so this is the model. This is the leverage model. It's asking questions and then presenting solutions. So it's asking questions, presenting solutions. And there's really 8 simple things. And so, Tom, if you could get us started and maybe take the first, 4 of these things, and then Peter, he can take the last 4 of these things, that would be great.
Okay, so when you say the first,
like asking questions, just going through and asking questions, and then listening, and then seeing, and then our intentions, like any insights into those 4 things. In a way, they're, it's simple, but in another way, it's a little bit more complex than that.
Yeah, well, if you look at this model, it's really a simple process. And most successful people go through it and don't even think about it. And it all starts with asking questions, but it's more than just asking questions. I mean, you've got to listen intently. You've got to listen to what the answers are, because whatever the answers are then going to help you form the next question you're going to have. And so as you ask questions and listen, then you're going to start to see things start to happen in terms of what's the intention of the person I'm talking to, or am I communicating the intentions that I want to communicate to this person that I'm talking to? And then once you see those results, now you're going to start to move into one of the areas that Peter's, I guess, is going to talk about, and that would be the thinking process.
Nice. Peter, thinking, capability, present solutions, do. Did we lose you, Peter?
Sorry, no, I'm back.
Okay.
The start point for this, for me, is obviously knowing what your individual outcome, desired outcome is, right? So you don't know exactly how you're going to get there yet, and this could be whether it's raising capital, making a sale, whatever. It may be achieving a personal goal. So you're looking for obstacles and opportunities. So that, to me, is the basis of the questions to the person who you're talking to, that is either going to present obstacles or opportunities, things that they want to achieve that lead to the road to the sale or raising the capital or whatever it is. So you're looking for common ground and for gaps in what they're telling you that you can fill. So it's not that you have all the answers, but you have some of the answers. So that's the nature of the questions and what you're trying to see when you're asking questions, listening, and then, again, finding common ground with their intentions and your intentions. And then, when you've got enough information, it allows you to move on to thinking. What's the solution? Where am I adding value to those things that they've said are their biggest obstacles or biggest opportunities? And, that needs a lot of care, because you're trying to satisfy your objectives, your personal objectives, and theirs at the same time. And there may be some conflict in that. So then you're moving on to the presenting solutions. So you're again, in a sense, doing a 360 on the initial questions, and now presenting solutions that satisfy their goals, or solutions that overcome obstacles that they have, that you've established a value to. So, once you get to the point of presenting solutions, that it's also then moving on to, so what do we agree that we can do and act on to start moving the ball forward?
Nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Q&A now, and we're going to finish this up, and then we're going to have some discussion. Again, your art mentor, your two art buddies, they're key to making this happen. Like if you go through this course alone, you're going to get a fraction of the benefit that if you go through with an art mentor and an art buddy. That's really the magic of making it all work. So we're going to take a 5-second pause, and we'll go right into the Q&A. Here we go.